Call the Redevelopment Commission to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ralph, will you start us off?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will do that. Lynn, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Lack?
Here.
Mr. Zilli?
Here.
Mr. Ecto?
Here.
Mr. Munt?
Here.
Mayor Lynch?
Here.
Dr. Finley?
We have the approval of minutes from September 23rd.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
We have motion by Colin, seconded by Ralph. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We have the payment of claims.
I'll make a motion to approve the claims.
Second.
We have motion by Colin, seconded by Ralph to approve the claims in the amount of, do we have that total?
It is...
Total $494,121.99. We have motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Staff reports. Hi, staff.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor, Commissioners. Really just bringing you up to speed on a couple projects. If you've been in City Hall lately, work is quite evident. Our general contractor, Gary Up, is doing a heck of a job. They're staying on schedule, and work is progressing. I would encourage you to stop by. As I mentioned at a recent city council meeting, it's really hard to give an update as to the update's always moving. They're doing a great job. Hats off to them, and they've been working very well with staff in the building to coordinate any sort of disturbances that they may be happening during construction. Work at Founder Square is well underway. Demolition is nearly completed, and contractors in the process of installing structures, running pipe. They've had a pretty successful last couple days getting that work done. They are still on track for an early December completion on the project that they're working on right now. I am still awaiting a schedule, so I do not have anything to report on the second phase of that project, which is the plaza area. And as soon as I have that schedule, I'll make sure to forward that to the members of the commission. A lot of the other projects that we're working on are ongoing. On behalf of the commission, design work continues on the Willow Creek Road bypass project. The letting date is still on track as previously reported. Central Avenue West is the same, as well as the Marquette Greenway Trail. In recent conversations with Glenn Peterson from SCH, we are anticipating that there will be 2 contracts let for that project. The first will be tree clearing, and we're expecting that we'll be going out for solicitation of quotes here within the next 45 days in anticipation and hopes of having them start in late January, early February with that work. That would be the tree clearing portion of that project. In advance of the full construction project that will be pretty much following immediately then after, with a plan to start construction early spring and a ribbon cutting late 3rd or early 4th quarter of 2022. And that would be the Marquette Greenway Trail project from Dare Trail Park, extending east across Salt Creek through the National Park to the terminus of the trail that's currently constructed within the town of Burns Harbor.
Good.
Other things that we're working on is our Next Level Trails grant for the next segment of the Marquette Greenway Trail. I have a meeting set, I think it's next week, with a number of the partners throughout Northwest Indiana working on developing a strategy to get the balance of the Marquette Greenway Trail constructed. Mitch Barloga from NERC's called that meeting to order, so I'll be interested to see what happens and be able to report after that meeting. We're working on the budget. for 2022 with a hope of having a draft budget to you in late December and being able to take full action on the budget for 22 at your January 2022 meeting. The only other thing I would say on that front is I've been working very closely with Carl Sender from Sender and Company, Joe Eberts, really putting together a full understanding of what the revenues are projected for the Redevelopment Commission between today and 2040 or 2040. So a lot of good information. As some of you may know, or I'm sure all of you do, we have a couple expansion areas in our TIF district that fall off, and as a result of them falling off, there will be a reduction in revenues that would be coming into the Redevelopment Commission. So we want to just make sure as we're looking forward into the future that we're projecting correctly in terms of revenues in those years that are out there. Again, so much of this work of this commission over the years has been very forward thinking, and I think that it's best to have the clearest picture you can of your revenues in those out years. With that, I'll pause at this point, and if there's any other questions, or if you have any, whatever, please.
I just want to say great job. I know what you came in with, and where we are today is astounding.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Mayor. And really, it's with all of your help too. I mean, together we've been able to accomplish a lot, and I'm really looking forward to what we're able to do here in the next several years for the city of Portage.
Me too. Okay. Is there any other staff report, AJ? You're just it today?
Attorney Whitten, did you have anything, sir?
I'm sorry, I was
Not paying attention.
Staff
Did you have
reports.
anything to report?
Other than I wasn't paying attention, I got caught. I do not have anything to report at this time. I think we're going to address that lease. Did you want to do that now?
We could, if we could bring it up as any other business, that'd be okay.
Okay.
The only other thing I would have is, as you know, I was going to do this again, but I'll do it now to try to cover up for my not being paying attention. I have sent you all a request, or at least my thinking that maybe we should have an executive session sometime in the first couple of weeks in November. And Bill, you thought when we talked that it'd be a better idea because we're under some tight timelines for closing. We kind of want to give ourselves a little bit of comfort area to do that. Is that correct, Bill? You think the first couple of weeks in November would get it done?
Yeah, by the middle of the month, I think we're safe. We get it by the 15th or so, we're good. I would be safe to have that meeting the day that the due diligence period runs out.
Yeah, we wouldn't have time to get the closing done.
Right.
So what I'm thinking is if you guys could all check your calendars and we can grab a day and sometime before the 15th of November, we can coordinate an executive session.
What about the 10th?
Or would it be possible, because our RDC meeting would fall on Thanksgiving if
Yes.
we coordinated both at the same time?
Well, it looks like our meeting would be on the 18th.
Is the 18th soon enough, Bill, or is that
The
pushing?
meeting's on the 18th?
Our next meeting,
Well, it would be on Thanksgiving, so we would move it a week ahead.
so it would be on the, it will be, the next meeting will be on the
That would be
18th.
enough time for us to
That
do?
would work, yes, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So can we do an executive session?
25th, but that is
Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
Yep.
Would that be prior to this meeting then?
I think we could do it. How much time do you think we'd need, Bill?
That would probably allow 45 minutes.
So we'll just set it at 3 o'clock.
All right, that's good.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay. Got that done. Okay. Oh, we'll work through that. Okay. We have old business 7.1 award 6051 Central Avenue parking lot demo project.
Yes, it'd be staff's recommendation to approve the quote received from Hamady Services LLC in the amount of $42,125. This would be for the demolition of the parking lot at 6051 Central Avenue, southeast corner of Central and Irving Street.
It seems like that bid came in, that quote came in pretty substantially lower than the others.
Than some of the others, yeah.
So AJ, were you saying that are we gonna do that this fall, or are you gonna wait till spring?
We will coordinate with your approval. We'll coordinate with the contractor. I can report back on when they were projecting that construction activity to begin.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the Hamady deconstruction of the old bus station. Are there any further questions? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. So we have new business. We have 8.1 open quotes for the fire station number 3 lime run.
Madam Mayor, Commissioners, we have received one bid for work at fire station number 3 to repair the masonry on the station. This bid was received from Gary Up Construction Company, Inc., P.O. Box 64879, Gary, Indiana 46401, and Gary Up's physical address is 3965 Harrison Street, Gary, Indiana 46408. Gary Up's quote for work is $98,000. That's 98000. At this time, it'd be staff's recommendation to take this quote under advisement.
Your motion to take this under advisement.
Second.
We have motion and a second to take the quote from Gary Up under advisement for fire station number 3 lime run. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. AJ, would you kind of briefly, I don't know if the other board members know what that is about?
Yes, so both at fire station number 3 and later we'll be opening up a quote for the amphitheater wall. We are experiencing a lime run on multiple surfaces at both locations. Not throughout the whole building, but we're running into some problems on the north face of Fire Station 3 and some on the east face of Station 3. Depending on the detail, both locations are experiencing water entering the masonry course, making its way through and reflecting out. On the surface, what it looks like is that kind of lime run. You see that kind of white sort of look on the masonry. The thing after some investigation, it was determined that really that water's entering behind the masonry wall and then presenting itself as we see it on the surface of the masonry or the brick. That's a problem. What that is indicating is that water is entering from above, finding paths of least resistance, making its way between the block and brick, and it's a problem. This is the early signs of what could lead to a much bigger problem if it's not addressed. We're not experiencing it all the surfaces of the Portage Fire Station number 3, but we are experiencing it on the north facade of the building and a little bit on the east. Specifically in the area, if you're familiar with the station, along the north is the patio area, and then on the east, when the architect, there's a transition of materials between a masonry brick material and then another masonry product, and we're seeing some damage there. This was brought to our attention by Chief Wilkening. Wanted to know if it was a cause for concern, and in consultation, it appears that it is. We would like to review these, of course, as staff. But we do believe this is something we should address now, understanding what is happening and what the bigger long-term problems could be associated with it.
How old is that building, AJ?
You know, we started work, I believe, in 15, and the building opened in 16, early 7, probably 16, 2016. So it's 5 years old. It goes to, I think, something we've all talked about as a commission is the value of how important maintaining all of our assets are as a community. And I don't want to say that it's a failure on our part to maintain throughout time. I'm not prepared to say that. But what I am prepared to say is that we do need to fix this, and then going forward, we should be much more attentive with how we take care of our assets, whether it's City Hall, fire stations, the parks, whatever.
Is that an insurance issue or it's too late?
We've looked at that and it's past that. It's ours to address at this point, Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Did we vote?
We did.
We did, I thought we did. Okay, we have 8.1A quotes for the amphitheater.
We have received 2 quotes for masonry wall repair work at the amphitheater. The first quote received is from Larson Danielson Construction Company, 302 Tyler Street, LaPorte, Indiana, 46350. Larson Danielson Construction Company's quote is in the amount of $35,659. That's $35,659. Second quote received is from Gary Up Construction Company, Inc. Their physical address, 3965 Harrison Street, Gary, Indiana, 46408. Gary Up Construction Company's quote is in the amount of $70,000. That's 70000. At this time, it'd be staff's recommendation to take these quotes under advisement.
Make a motion to take them under advisement.
Second.
We have a motion by Greg, seconded by Colin to take the quote for the amphitheater repair under advisement. Is there any further questions? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We have 8.2, the 2021 Education Challenge Grant Program.
Madam Mayor, Commissioners, I believe in your packet, Lynn forwarded a grant application from Portage Township Schools. They're calling it the 2021 Education Challenge Grant Program. You'll recall that we have budgeted this in the Redevelopment Commission's budget. Their request is for $100,000. You have requested, or they have requested $100,000. And within the grant, it articulates what it is they're proposing to do. With approval of this, they'll be working closely with Lynn in terms of how this money is distributed, and there's a bit of a process that I won't claim to understand.
As soon as they give us the bills totaling up to that point, they'll get their check.
There you go.
So they do that whenever we give them this money, they tell you where it went,
It's gonna go to exactly what that,
exactly what's on there.
yes, they'll purchase that, they'll turn in the receipts, and then we will reimburse them up to
Because we gave them
$100,000.
$100,000 last year, so do we
This
know
is
what?
historically, we have
Okay.
given $100,000
Okay.
for many years now.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the Education Challenge Grant Program for the school. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We have removed 8.3. We are moving to 8.4, Chamber of Commerce Community Profile.
Yes, Madam Mayor, members, I believe that this matter was identified on the claims that was approved earlier in the agenda. Lynn and I felt it was just appropriate to bring it to your attention. This is for the Portage Chamber of Commerce Community Profile. You haven't seen this matter on your claims run for a number of years, 5 years. Because the commission at that time really kind of paid forward. They contributed the larger sum of money years ago. This year, you're seeing, I believe it's a $5,000 invoice, and it would only cover then the 1 year. If you've seen the community profiles in the past, there's a number of pages included in the profile that talk about the city of Portage, highlight the elected officials, different department heads, what's going on in the city. It's just a general profile piece that the Chamber's been publishing for a number of years, and the Commission has been a longtime supporter of.
And that's actually completed because we've gotten several copies of it. They are at City Hall.
Yeah. Again, this was budgeted, and working with Norma and Mayor's office and Lynn, it was an eligible expense, and so this will be paid out of the budget and the marketing line of the budget for the Redevelopment Commission.
You need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Ralph, seconded by Colin. Is there any further questions? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Just to let you know, we are working on kind of a welcome bag through City Hall, and we will be putting those in the welcome bag. And there's a lot of good information for people that are coming into the city, and we're working on that. We don't have that all put together yet, but one of the things in that bag will be that community profile. So we have 8.5, 5439 Central Avenue, Gilbert's gas station.
Yes, Mayor, Commissioners, this is a project that we've been talking about for a long period of time. A project that it was very difficult for the Commission to move forward because the project is outside the allocation area, and it was going to really rely on general fund availability to move forward with this project. Fortunately, with the sale of a couple of pieces of property over the last year and a half, I'm happy to report that if it's the pleasure of the Commission that you're in a position to move forward with this project. The project would include project management services, and I believe I've sent a copy of that professional services agreement to you from Americo, who have been very intimate with this project since its start, and in a budget estimate of approximately $150,000 for demo. This project at 5439 Central Avenue is the former Gilbert gas station. We believe that there are retired underground storage tanks on site. So after consult between staff, mayor, feel that this is beyond staff's capabilities to perform this project management, specifically related to this demo. There's a lot of paperwork associated with the retiring of underground storage tanks. That's why it's our recommendation to move forward with the professional services contract with Americo. We feel confident with Americo as they were the party that was working with the City of Portage, the Redevelopment Commission, over the past number of years on the property. So we feel there's a value in their expertise of being familiar with the project. And we also believe that we're going to get a good service out of them because they do have past experience and have suggested some ways that through the solicitation of quotes we might end up finding some value in their assistance, which I believe through their experience they've demonstrated they can provide. You do have the monies available in your general fund to move forward on this project if it is your pleasure. And if it is your pleasure, we would recommend moving forward with the professional services agreement with Americo in the amount of $15,800 plus testing and sampling that you see in that agreement. And then if we could at least establish a project budget in our working budget of $150,000 for the demolition.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Greg, seconded by Colin.
Or Ralph, either one.
Either
Or
one.
Ralph. I was trying to figure out who spoke first. Is there any further discussion? Any more questions about Gilbert Gas Station?
So AJ, I assume the intent is to sell the property at some point?
I don't know if it's sellable. I believe that the purpose of the acquisition was for a phase of the Central Avenue West construction project. So I believe that there's going to be a dedication of right-of-way, at least on the frontage. I believe we're going to have such a small balance that, and likely, if there is a disposition of the real estate, it's going to be more about finding an adjacent property owner and seeing if they'll buy it as opposed to anything sort of new. I just think, if anything, it's going to become part of somebody else's side yard or front yard. It really doesn't lend itself to new construction.
Do you know right offhand how much we paid for that?
I don't, off the top of my head.
Greg, do you remember?
That was a while ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we could track that down, absolutely, but off the top of my
I'd
head.
kind of like to know what we paid for
Okay.
it, so. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. 8.6, City Hall change orders.
Yes, within your packet, you'll see a series of change orders that are summarized on the meeting's agenda. The first change order is asbestos abatement as an increase of $14,760. The second is change order for transformer work and pest control. That ended up coming in as a decrease change order of $11,145. And change order 3 is related to slab door and digital alarm systems as an increase of $5,012. Be staff's recommendation to approve change orders numbers 1, 2, and 3 as submitted.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the items discussed by AJ. Are there any further questions?
AJ, on number 1, we just found more asbestos than they anticipated, or?
No, asbestos was not included in the contract, and we knew that. To move forward with asbestos abatement, felt it was best to have Gary up as the general manager, the contractor, and the time associated with that abatement. Again, there was some liability to have it up front, so there was an inspection and then an abatement process for that work.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, if there are no further questions, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. We have a couple other items on the agenda. First off, we have to change our November and December meeting dates. So let's look at those because Thanksgiving and Christmas fall on our meeting dates. So November the 25th would be our November normal meeting, but we just discussed this a little bit earlier, that we would be meeting on the 18th, and we will be meeting an executive session at 3 and our regular meeting at 4. And then for December, that is on the 23rd, but do we want to bump it up to the 16th?
I would say yes. Lynn, does that create any claims issues?
It could, but those, we could just give me permission to pay them if they come in, if they're standard bills.
Okay.
If they come in late, then they'll be added to the January docket, and then you'll be able to see what they were. Okay?
Sounds like a plan to me.
So we're gonna do 12/16.
12/16, so we'll need a motion to approve those two changes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve November 18th as our next meeting and our December meeting in December the 16th. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have other business to come before the commission. Mr. Charles Ewing, we have.
Yes, Madam Mayor, members, I believe this matter came up previously. The city was contacted about entering into a license agreement for the purposes of farming with Charles Ewing on the property that is north of Burns Waterway, south of the NIPSCO easement. This is something that the Redevelopment Commission has done in the past. We took the previous license agreement language, brought it up to speed. I've been working closely with Attorney Whitten on this. I've had an opportunity to run this license agreement by Mr. Ewing. We have all spoken. We believe that it's in order with a couple things. Attorney Whitten asked a couple questions. The first had to do with insurance liability and a provision in the license agreement that had to do with hunting. I've had a chance to talk to James Hazard with Samuelson Insurance and Attorney Whitten members. He didn't see a problem with that, so he felt that we were good to go there. The second matter that was mentioned by Attorney Whitten, and if I recall, Mr. Ewing also suggested the same, that we would like to add some language, Attorney Whitten, and if you would rather go than me,
It's up to you.
is in the agreement, in the conversations I've had with Mr. Ewing, there is some work that needs to be done on the property that he's committing to complete. I think we all agree now, after conversation, that sort of language needs to be included in the agreement, because it was then going to be my recommendation that in the agreement, in terms of the sum to be paid for the license to farm, I was going to suggest an amount of whether it's $1 or $10 for this license agreement. But we felt that it was important to articulate why the license agreement was so low in price compared to the past agreements. But in the reason being, it's due to what Mr. Ewing is proposing to do on the property. So, Attorney Whitten, if I kind of
Yeah, you've hit it.
Good enough.
AJ. So yeah, when I looked at it, and AJ and I had an opportunity to talk it through a little bit, it just seemed better for both parties to have some articulation as to what the scope of the work is, so that there's no misunderstanding later. So it just seemed to protect both sides.
Yeah.
To,
and to spell out then what the scope of work is. This is the 62 acres, again, north of the waterway, south of the NIPSCO easement. You'll recall historically that the Catalyst folks had excavated. Mr. Ewing is proposing to sort that out and deal with it and get it back to a farmable condition. And he's also proposing to do some tree clearing work at the east end of the property that will, again, lead to tillable acreage and a good for the city of Portage as well. So those are the two sort of work efforts that we would like to include in the license agreement with your consent. So at that point, again, with that language added to the license agreement, if we would like to ask your approval to enter into a license agreement with Charles Ewing to farm the approximate 62 acres of real estate north of Burns Waterway, south of the NIPSCO easement, and east of Marine Drive.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
let's have that motion specifically have a contingency for my review and inclusion of the descriptive language as to the work to be performed.
I'll make a motion to approve contingent upon legal review.
Second.
Descriptive language about the work to be done. Did that work for you? Dan?
Great,
Okay.
doing great, because we're all doing great tonight.
Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
I didn't get a second. I didn't hear a
Ralph
second.
seconded.
Ralph
I did.
seconded.
AJ, one question. What's the length of the contract?
It's this license calls for 1 year.
This is all work we want done anyway, right?
Yes.
Is this something we'd like to see happen?
And again, the commission, in working with Mr. Ewan in the past, we go in these year terms, we all understand that it's ultimately our hope that we're disposing of this real estate, that development takes place. In the short term, it's an opportunity to see that land at work for Mr. Ewan to farm some additional acreage.
Yeah, it's nice to have it cleaned up, too.
And that as well, of course.
Okay, you all good? Okay, do you want to talk about the why?
Would you all like to talk about it?
Would you like to talk about the why?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay. So in in an email correspondence that I had sent out, I forwarded you some thoughts on potentially offering a grant to the Portage Township YMCA to conduct a feasibility study for their pool project. Over the course of the last 2 months, we've had some conversations. We've become a lot more familiar with what it is they're proposing to do. And I think we all came to a consensus that there were some additional questions that we had collectively as individuals when we met with the Y leadership. In that email, I talked about a grant of approximately $15,000. That sum came to me via a scope of work that was provided by the leadership at the Y to conduct that feasibility study. Since I believe all of us have had an opportunity to review that scope of work, and I think it's fair to say that we might want to ask a few more questions, gain a little bit more of a comprehensive understanding of what's going on. So I guess at this point, I'll pause there, and I don't know who to turn it over to first. I guess the question is, do we believe that that feasibility study for $15,000 is as comprehensive as we want it to be, or would we want to possibly get a few more questions answered? And I'll pause right there and maybe start a conversation.
I think we've all met with Shannon individually, everybody on this commission, and we've spoken with her about her plans. And I think it was Greg that brought up the idea of the feasibility study, which I think was a great idea, Greg, because I think that as that project moves forward, that will be beneficial. And I think that they're currently not in a position to pay for that, although was it going to be a Y organization or a Y entity that they work with that would be doing that?
Mayor, it appears that it's an organization that works with YMCA's, but not directly YMCA.
Yeah.
So we would be paying for the study, would we be just granting the money?
We would
to
be,
Y?
the thought here would be granting the money to the YMCA, allowing them to manage the subsequent contract for the feasibility study was how I was envisioning the plan.
I received a copy of, did you receive a copy of the feasibility proposal?
I don't think I did.
I didn't see it, but then I get a million things a day, so.
Shannon provided it to me. In looking at it, it's not a comprehensive study. It's a study of the current proposal of the pool. It's not, in my view, I have a feeling that Portage needs a community pool. I can't answer that definitively yes or no. And it'd be my wish to have a feasibility study that's comprehensive with the demographics, the layout of the facility, the size of the facility, and I don't think the $15,000 proposal meets that.
Yeah, that was my question, was going to be, I mean, what are they looking to see? They have a plan. Are they looking to see, do they need a bigger pool? Is that what, I mean, I don't know that that's in that study now. I think it's, okay, here's the plan. Does this meet our needs? The answer could be yes or no, but I mean, if the answer is no, okay, well, what is it that will meet our needs? And I don't think that's in the study.
Right.
So I'd like to, I mean, if we're going to do it, I'd like to see us spend a little bit more to get the right feasibility study out of this. I agree with that.
So if we agree in principle that the commission would like to grant the Y a sum of money for the purposes of conducting a feasibility study, we can either, one of two things, set an amount now and share that information with Y leadership, or we can pause and we can work with Y leadership to receive a different scope of work to meet some of the additional questions that have been raised.
I guess what's the time frame on this? Were they supposed to start it soon, I guess is the answer, or the question I'm asking.
My impression was they would like to have the pool open by next spring.
So could we just set an amount higher with the understanding that we'd like to see a more comprehensive plan and ask them to come back with a different scope of work, but so it doesn't hold up doing that now?
Well, then my question is that entity that she is suggesting, are they capable of doing a full feasibility study rather than just this component part that we're talking about?
I'm not well enough versed
Yeah.
with this firm to be able to answer that question.
So maybe if we can put this off till the 18th and have the Y with us at the next meeting, get those questions answered now, and then by the next meeting be prepared to maybe increase the amount for a full study.
Well, we might ask AJ to enter into conversations with Shannon so that she can get some more information. I mean, I don't know who this company is, and maybe they're capable of doing it. And so if we decide that we want to do this, are we gonna hold up the process by a whole month by, you know, maybe we need to give Shannon a heads up to say, look, can you give us more information? Couldn't she just send it to us in an email so we're prepared?
Right, so that's why I was thinking, could we just approve a not to exceed amount if we're asking them to do more than the $15,000 study we have in front of us?
Well, that's gonna
I
depend
guess if the
on,
concern is, we want, it's our money that we're committing to something that we expect some results from. Before we commit the money, I think you need to really see what they're providing is meeting what your expectations are.
Right, so that's why I was suggesting we wait till the
I would
18th,
wait.
but in the meantime, ask our questions now before the meeting.
Right.
So we're ready on the 18th to approve something.
I believe we can be prepared to be in the position you're comfortable to act on November 18th. It's 3 weeks.
Right.
We'll get back to work. We'll talk a little bit more about some additional questions that we, the Redevelopment Commission, want answered, see some modifications to the scope of work, and be in a position to present that on November 18th.
That works.
okay. So we'll just, that wasn't on the
we don't
agenda,
need
so
to-
we don't
it
need
wasn't
to
on the
table it or
agenda, so.
anything. It was just discussion. So is there any other business to come before the commission? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
We have motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.